Okay, this is for the assignment called Combining, oh, now I've forgotten it, Combining What You've Learned. We're doing the drawing shape, shape tween, and motion tween. So if you look here, there's a Word document, but it doesn't give you a lot of instructions, so that's why I'm doing this video. So we just did a Flash ActionScript 3.0, and you're going to go and you're going to change the size to 600 by 450. Okay. Then you're going to go to layer 1 and you're going to just double click that and go ahead and name it sky. And now we're going to create a sky that is animated. So we're going to come up here to this little painter's palette, and you'll see there's a drop down that says solid color. I'm going to switch to linear gradient. And then I'm going to click on these. Make sure, now do you see how if I move over there's a plus sign? If you click on the plus sign, it's going to add another color box. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose some blue colors for my sky. And just so you know, if you accidentally add more than one, you can just click and drag down with your mouse and that gets rid of it. Okay. Oh, and see, I think it accidentally, no, we're good. Okay. All right, so I've got my two different shades here. So I'll just go ahead and minimize that. And then I'm going to take my rectangle tool, and you want to make sure that there is no stroke. It's very important that you do not have a stroke on your shape. Okay? So, and then the paint bucket should have your gradient. So then I'll just come here so that it's going to be right at the size of my stage. It might be a tiny bit bigger, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. And then I've got this gradient, except for it's going side to side. So if you come here, you've got your free transform tool, but if you click and hold on free transform, it switches to gradient transform. You can then click on your gradient, and this first circle in the corner allows you to rotate your gradient, so go ahead and rotate it. I'm rotating mine to the right. There is this, which will allow you to change kind of the strength of your gradient if you want it to be, you know, if I brought it really in, you can see. So I'll bring it to the edges of my. And then there's also this dot, which would allow you to change the kind of the intensity, or sorry, the location. So it's a little more blue here. I don't think mine really needs much change. My colors almost aren't even different enough. I hardly even notice a gradient, but it's okay. So we're good there. Now we're going to be creating a shape tween, and the big thing about shape tweens, if you remember, is you have to have your start frame and you have to have an end frame. So I'm going to go to 45, and I need to have something different at the end of a shape tween, so that's why I'm going to insert a blank keyframe. And then I'm going to go back to this and change my colors to be kind of more sunset colors. So I'm going to go for kind of a darker blue so that it looks like it's becoming nighttime. Then with my rectangle tool, still no stroke, which is what I want, click and drag to create that rectangle look. And then I'm also going to use my gradient free transform tool. And you want to rotate the same direction you rotated your other one. So I'm rotating it to the right. Okay, so now I've got that. And so 45 and frame 1. Right click, create a shape tween. So now when I press enter, you'll see it go from day to evening. And that's all we're doing with the sky. So you want to make sure to click this little dot next to the padlock so that you don't accidentally do anything with the sky layer later. Then I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to name it road. And I'm going to take my rectangle tool and change it to the darkest gray, still no stroke. And I'll just click and drag to make my road. And it's poking out, but it's okay because that won't show. Now I'm going to give it the lines. So if you choose the line tool, you make the color yellow. The stroke, I'm going to make it 5. And then the style, instead of solid, I'm going to switch it to dashed. And then there's this pencil next to it. But if you click on it, it brings up this. So for my dash itself, I'm going to make it 20. So you can see that that lengthens it out. And then for my space, I'm going to make it 30. So that gives me a nice space between. And then I can say OK. And then just draw your line right down the middle. So it gets a nice dashed line just like in a road. And that's all you do with your road. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lock that. Then you're going to create 4 new layers. And you're going to name them Cloud 1, Cloud 2, Cloud 3, and Cloud 4. And OK. Then I'm going to lock every cloud layer except for the one I'm working on, which is going to start out as Cloud 1. So Cloud 1 and Cloud 2 are going to be shape tweens. So once again, we've got to have our start shape. So I go to the oval tool. You have to make sure on all of your clouds that they do not have a stroke. No stroke on those. And then the color just depends on what you want to do. So I'm going to say daytime clouds. Maybe I'll make them a light gray or a white. And then if you use the oval tool to overlap, you use the oval tool to just do overlapping, and they make nice little clouds. Okay, so that's on frame 1. On frame 45, you need to make sure to go to frame 45, and we need to make these clouds look different. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to insert a blank keyframe. And then you're going to take your oval tool, and you can switch colors if you'd like. I might do kind of a light pink because the sun is setting. And then you just draw new clouds. And they're supposed to look different, so don't try to make it look the same as your old clouds. Then you just right-click anywhere in between on the frames and create a shape tween. So that way when you press enter, you should see your clouds change as they go across the screen. Okay, and that's all we do for Cloud 1. So go ahead and lock that layer, and then unlock Cloud 2. Cloud 2, we're going to do the same thing. So oval tool, I'm going to want to switch back to white. And you can start the clouds off the screen if you want. They can be on screen. So just draw some ovals, give yourself a little fluffy cloud, and that's good. Frame 45, once again, we need to make a new cloud and we want it to look different. So we're going to insert a blank keyframe. And then you'll go ahead and you'll draw your new cloud. And that's good enough for me. So then I'll right-click, create a shape tween. Now they should animate across the screen, changing color and shape as they go. Or for you, perhaps just changing to a different shape. Go ahead and lock the cloud layer, and the next ones we're going to do are going to be different. All right, Cloud 3, we're going to do a motion tween. So it starts the same. We go to frame 1, we use our oval tool, and we create a cloud. So we'll just do a little basic cloud. Now with motion tweens, I don't need to do that end frame, so I can just right-click and create a motion tween. And it's going to ask if I want it to be turned into a symbol, and you can just say OK. So now that it's blue. So frame 1 is the start point. We're going to go to frame 45 and use the move tool or the selection tool and just click and drag to move our cloud. And then if you hover over, you can curve the line a little bit if you want to. Okay, and that just makes it move across. Okay, so that's with Cloud 3. So let's do the same thing on Cloud 4. So you go to frame 1, you use the oval tool to, make a cloud. And once we've done the cloud on frame 1, we just right-click, create motion tween. Yes, we want it to be turned into a symbol. And then I just go to frame 45 and then use my move tool to move my cloud. And maybe it won't have to move as fast if it doesn't have to move as far. Okay, so that's the basic of that one. We're done. We'll lock that. Now we've got one more layer to make. So make a new layer, and you're going to name it barrel. Okay, so for the barrel layer, I'm going to make sure I'm on frame 1, and you're going to go to your rectangle tool. And on this one, I do want to have a stroke on it. I'm just going to go ahead and make it a black stroke. And I'm going to set it to 3 instead of 5. I also want to make sure the fill, we're going for kind of a rusty barrel sitting on the side of the road, so I find this to be a very good rusty color. Then the style is still set to dashed, so I need to set it back to solid. And then you can go ahead and draw your barrel. Now if I go to my selection tool, I can hover over that bottom line on my barrel in the center and click and drag to give it a slightly curved bottom so it looks like it's becoming a cylinder instead of looking like a square. Then you take your oval tool, and the stroke should be black and the fill should be black. So we're making a kind of the top of the barrel. So you want to kind of line up to where the corner of your barrel is, but then go slightly above it and click and drag so that it looks like it's the top of your barrel. Then you use your selection tool, and if you hover, you can see that there is a stroke here, and because of the way that we've connected it with the rectangle, it cuts it in half. So then I can use Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, and then I can use that little thing to add some detail. So you're going to add 2 of those, and it just makes it look a little more cylindrical, and it adds some little details to just an extra touch to it. Okay? So last thing, just go to Control and go to Test Scene, and that's what it should look like. So if there's something, if any of your clouds are looking, they're transforming strangely, call me over and I'll help you fix that before you turn it in. There shouldn't be any of your clouds turning hollow or anything like that as they go. So if yours looks more or less like this, then you close out, you go File, Publish Settings. You want to make sure that only the flash one is checked. I'll go ahead and call this Flash Combine. Use my folder so that I know where it's going. So you need to, navigate yours to where you need it to go. Save, and then go ahead and hit Publish. And then you can click OK. And that .swift file is the one you turn in. You want to go File, Save As, and go save this too, though, just so you have it for another day. And in case there's a problem with the one that you have. Okay, so you should have your gradient sky, your road with a dashed line, 4 clouds moving, 2 clouds change shape as they move. You got your custom-made barrel, your sky that's animated, and then just make sure that you turn in the .swift movie. And you can go ahead and submit that, and you are done.